This new strategy has made me over $20,000 in just the past 7 days. Now, I've experimented live on my YouTube channel a ton of different strategies, whether that be Twitter tracker plays, whether that be new creations and playing the latest narrative, even hyper scalping, as you see by a cupsy or a orangey style of trader. And I have found the best strategy personally for me, and I want to share that with you guys today. Now, you can actually see in my Telegram channel, I posted this. This is the past 9 days since I've had this wallet. In the past 7 days, I actually made over $20,000. Now, that is not net profit. I have actually taken some other trades recently as well, but this strategy is proven to be very consistent. If I have losing days, they are very small. When I have winning days, they are extremely big. And I posted, I asked you guys, do you want this strategy, this case study? And a bunch of you guys actually responded on the left hand side here and actually said yes. So what is the strategy? I'm going to give you a complete breakdown, so just sit back, relax and take it in, because it's going to be step by step as best I can. Now, this is following on from my tutorial video, which I'm probably going to put up here, which is a full guide on how to use GMGN as well. Now, what you'll see is I have changed my GMGN. Maybe you guys are using a different platform, but I recommend using this one. It's the best one for analytics. From what looks like this, which normally, for example, you would be trading on new creations, almost bonded. You'd have a bunch of wallets inside of your wallet tracker, and you'd be tracking all of these tokens, and it slightly be overwhelming sometimes, right? I'm sure you've seen it before where, a tweet comes out or a big event comes out. You see 50 tokens on the left hand side from Uzento, and then all of a sudden you see one token bond, and that token's bonded, it's bundled, that nukes down to 0, and then the one you didn't realize was there becomes the runner, and you kind of end up missing out and then going all the way back to square one. Or worse, you get in the right one and you sell early. I've been and I've done that plenty of times, which is what's led me to coming over to this strategy. Okay, so the first thing I did was I got rid of new creations and I got rid of almost bonded. So to do that, you go to customize section, I get rid of new creations, I get rid of almost bonded. Now that's a lot less overwhelming, and it means that there is a lot less tokens for me to choose between. And you'll actually see that it's very, very slow. That's actually one of the reasons why, if you follow me, I haven't really been live streaming every day, because I'm like, well, I don't really make that many trades a day anymore. So is the point of me being live like 8 hours a day for you guys to see 2 trades? Not really. But the profit has been a lot higher, and I do think it's even going to outperform a lot of traders long term when we actually get into some of the major runners early, which is bound to happen when you actually focus on such less coins. You can actually see on the left hand side here, you can see this one's 2 days old, 22 hours old, 9 hours, 1 hour, 1 hour. And if you go to the settings over here where it says filters, I actually change my filters over here to minimum 40k market cap, okay, and the volume I've put at 200k. If you click apply, that narrows down tokens of any age that are above a certain market cap, which actually still have volume. Okay, so I'm more than happy to trade a token which is 2 days old. I'm sure if you've been in the trenches, I'm not too sure how many people even trade tokens that are 2 days old anymore. Yet these tokens still get great volume, and it's done $9.2 million of volume in the past 24 hours. Okay, another example, let's say Safecoin. Even though Safecoin isn't a token which I'd necessarily personally trade, you can see in the past 24 hours, it's done $20 million of volume. 20 million. The past 6 hours probably done $1.2 million of volume, right? So you'll see a lot of these times, these tokens, when they come down to clear support levels, which as you can see, this token found its floor, it can actually pump quite well. And this is, I don't think it's 160%, but if we go from here to here, it's about 100% move. And we can do that with $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, as much as I want to do it with. And we can actually get these 100% moves on with these older tokens. In fact, even if I just want to do 0.2 BNB, a small amount, can still do those types of moves on these tokens, right? And then we get on to like No Kings. This token was a PvP coin. It's one where there's many different types of tokens to choose from. But when we look at migrated tokens, there was only 2. There's this token and this token. There's only 2 to decide between. And that's what makes it so interesting when it comes to this type of trading strategy, is that it limits the amount of variables. It limits the amount of tokens that we need to select. And that's what makes it so good. So these are the types of trades that I've been looking for. I've been looking for things that are viral. Okay. Now, how else have I filtered these tokens? I actually did a video about this before on a live trading. You guys might remember. The question is, have you guys been sticking to it? Now, we know that inside of the trenches right now, there's a big discrepancy between traders. A lot of new traders that come into the market, the first thing that they see is, a KRYPTOKING, or shout out DV as well. I think DV used to be subscribed to the channel, but or like DV style trader. So they come into the trenches, right? Come into trading meme coins, and the first thing that they see is people who trade extremely fast, ex-Fortnite players, ex-gamers, very, very good traders personally, and they trade this hyper fast style of trading where they get in at super low market cap, maybe even they dev the coins and then they get out as soon as possible, take that profit and then recirculate back in. Now that's extremely good if you are a fast style of trader, if you have that time to be locked in 18 hours a day, and if you're willing to go through the ups and downs of that. Any style of trading you choose, any style of trader you decide to become, whether that's perps trader, whether that's a spot holder, whether that's a long-term investor, there's going to be strengths and weaknesses to each position. There's going to be lessons that you're going to have to learn in that. For example, in this style, if you go on a bad streak, it's completely amplified. So what a lot of people do is they only put a small balance in there, so then they have to redeposit to stop them from losing their whole balance in case they go into out of a losing trade. Another thing, risk management. They take small risk and they also try and manage the narrative. They do fast research, a bunch of different things that you're going to need to learn as that style of trader. Now, me personally, again, I've tested this style. We had a lot of success with it. Then it went off the rails. And for me, this style here is extremely competitive. It is like an extremely competitive area, which I do feel that, even as a KOL, if I go on a bad streak for a week or two, I start to feel concerned about my P&L. I start thinking like, okay, XYZ. It starts to completely change my style of trading and investing. I start to move away from actually feeling more abundant. I start to feel more scarce. Personally, that's led me to actually miss out on a lot of plays, me personally. So what I decided to do was I decided to go for a more poker style approach, right? For me, this would be like a loose aggressive style. You're getting into a lot of pots. You're playing very heavy. You're playing very heavy. You're being a more instinctive individual trader, right? These guys, they operate so fast. They're operating from instinct, right? More than actual like logic and thinking through things, right? Whereas me, I decided to go for a more tight aggressive style of play. And what's a tight aggressive style of play? That means I'm going to play less hands. I'm going to invest into less memes. But when I do, I'm going to invest a little bit more aggressively, and I'm going to invest for the longer run. Okay. Now, if we actually have a look at the stats and have a look at the statistics, and we look over here, you'll see at the bottom of the screen what is called a market lighthouse on GMGN. And that's actually going to show you how many tokens are created and how many tokens migrate. Now, currently, there's 7.2 thousand tokens created on BNB in the last 24 hours, and 60 of them migrated. So instead of me having to decide between 7.2 thousand, I've focused my attention on the 60. And out of that 60, I want to have a specific strategy, a specific criteria on what I'm looking for what I'm going to actually buy. Okay. So if we go through this, you can see there's 7.2 thousand tokens. Actually zoom in a little bit here. Okay. And out of 7.2 thousand, we are looking at 60 of those tokens, just 60. So we've already cut out a lot of the noise. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, I don't go between 7.2 thousand. Yes, but you actually process that information, right? It goes into your brain, right? Into your like nervous system, right? You have to download that type of information, right? If I'm sat here and I'm scanning, which you're actively scanning new pairs, for you to be good at scanning, you actually physically have to look at these tokens. Like, I have to sit and I have to look at new pairs and watch. Okay, Magic Mirror came through. Okay, Trump card came through. A lot of times to be a good new pairs trader, right, you have to scroll through these, but you have a lot of information to download. Okay. And then obviously, let's not forget the almost bonded tokens. You might be in some situations where you see this pump. There's a big trader called Cowboy, which is always trading at the moment. He's shifting these market caps. You look at these, you're seeing Cowboys got in. You spend a lot of time messing around with these tokens. Okay. So you do end up downloading a lot of that information. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm only going to focus on the 60. Now, that doesn't mean that I want to actually be trading 60 tokens. I need to have a criteria to actually judge what am I going to be buying and why. Okay. Now, my criteria for this, number one, is I'm looking for something viral. right? I'm looking for a viral narrative, okay, or tweet, because specifically recently, more than not, a lot of the strongest movers have been social based. We moved away from a Murad or a specific KOL that would lead the charge for a community and a specific narrative, more so towards an Elon Musk or a CZ style of KOL that would push and lead this narrative, or even better, it's completely viral on social media. Naturally, that narrative pushes and grows. I really like that style because it consistently gets volume. Every single time there's a marketing or this push, for example, like no kings, the more this goes viral, the higher this token is naturally gonna go. It doesn't matter what KOL is involved in this token. It doesn't matter if Gakey buys it, it doesn't matter if Kups is in, it doesn't matter if Powell's in, it doesn't matter if Cooker's in, it doesn't matter, right? It's naturally gonna get that news and attention, which is what I really, really like, because at the end of the day, what drives speculation is attention. The more attention it has, the better. Okay, so I'm looking for something that is viral, okay? And how do you judge if something's viral? Well, literally it's as simple as clicking on the tweet, searching the CA, and when you search the CA, if you see it's a news or event, okay, it has specific catalysts like this, you can kind of tell, looks pretty viral, there's a lot of people speaking about it, okay? Next, number 2, I'm looking at holders, okay? Holders, volume, okay? Holders plus volume, okay? Because the more holders a token has, the more dispersed the supply is, which means one person can't nuke a whole entire chart. If you only have 1,000 holders, no matter how big the market cap is, one guy's gonna nuke the entire chart. Number 2 is volume, right? The more volume it has, okay, the better, because it means people are actually trading this token, okay? So if we look at this token here, what can we see? 1.9 thousand holders, very, very good holders. We can even click the bubble maps and we can look at the bubble maps, and we'll see that the supply is fairly distributed, okay? Next, we can look at the volume. You can actually see at the bottom, the volume is going up and to the right. Now, to get this indicator, what you do is you go to indicators right here, you click it, and you can add volume right here. You can actually type in volume if it doesn't show up for you. There's this volume right here, and it'll add at the bottom of your screen, okay? Then we can be as simple as looking at support and resistance. So I can say, okay, I could put in a starter entry right here. You can add it as a limit order if you want to. So you could put something like this. If you do market, whatever you want to do, it will bounce exactly off support. Okay, and then you can say, okay, well, maybe we go a little bit lower, maybe we go down here, okay, and I can put another limit order in down here, 500k market cap, bish bash bosh, and drop the order in right there, and then that will be an easy way of entering the trade, because I know that number 1, there's holders, I know that number 2, there's volume, and I know that if we come down to these support ranges, there will be people that are interested in buying it right here. We can actually see we're already up 9% on the trade, right here, and we can have a look here. Right, 2 clear areas where it means probably going to do well, it's probably going to bounce, right? Okay, and then number 3, okay, one of my criteria is what is the current meta. So does this fit the current meta, right? Now, how do you see and identify what the current meta is? You look at it by the tokens which are above 10 million. Okay, that's the easiest way, in my opinion. You just look at what's above 10 mil, right? If the 10 mil market caps right now is CZ specific tweets and interactions, that's probably going to be the next main runners that are going to go to 2 to 5 mil. If the current meta right now is Elon Musk and Grok, etc., it's probably going to do well. If it's cults and artists and stuff like that, it's probably going to do well. Okay, so I'm always going to look and scan how to do that. And how to do that is simple. You go to Deck Screener, and then from Deck Screener, what you're going to want to do is look at the top tokens over the past few days, look at what's exactly popping off, right? And these need to be tokens which are consistently getting volume. Maybe the tokens are getting listed as well, okay? Some type of consistent catalyst for that token. So for example, if we have a look at Solana over here, okay? If we have a look at some of the top coins, you can see there is no major runners, right? At best, we have DTV, okay? And if we keep an eye on this token, if this token does extremely well and rewards the early holders and goes to 30, 40 million, this will open up a whole new catalyst for the streamer meta. So I don't necessarily need to buy it, but I can keep an eye open on it for opening up a potential new meta, okay? But you can see there is no major runners and major tokens right now on Solana. If we go to BNB, we can actually see that BNB has a lot of major tokens. We have 4 at 100 million. That's a CTO meta, okay? We have Binance Community Meta, right? We have Hakimi still at 40 million. Again, this is the animal meta, okay? And then we can go through and we'll also see a bunch of fucking CZ tweets, right? So we know that the meta right now, okay, BNB, okay, is either going to be animal, CZ, or Hey tweet, okay? It's also going to be maybe a CTO as well. So these are our potential metas, right? So if I look at a coin, it's viral, it has holders and volume, and it fits the current meta, that's my cue for looking to get into it, okay? And I'm not bothered about instantly clipping it on the same day for small profit. I'm looking for these tokens to do 5, 10x, right? To go to 5 or 10 million, okay? These are the types of plays that I'm starting to look at, and starting to do extremely well. Now, I might trim a little bit at the high, but that's the main thing that I'm looking at, holding this thing for the long run. And this worked extremely well, and it started to rebuild a lot of the losses we've made from experimenting very, very, very fast. At this rate, we're going to be making a lot of good money on this channel, okay? Now, the next thing is I want to make sure I set up my Twitter tracker, and I want to make sure I have my GMGN set up. Now, if you don't have your GMGN set up, you don't have your Twitter tracker set up, or you're missing out on a few things like fees and stuff like that, I recommend taking a look at the complete tutorial I made on my channel. You find it at the end of this video, or you find it underneath this video as well, right here. And you can actually see a complete guide on GMGN as well as some alpha on top holders and stuff like that. So if you've enjoyed it, you should now understand exactly how I made over $20,000 in the past couple of days. I'll also show you guys how you can actually do the same thing. You understand about how to limit the variables, etc. I'm interested to see where this strategy takes me further. I'll be documenting this on this channel as well. Appreciate you guys, and I will see you on the next one, okay?